Hey, what's up, everybody? CG here, CG Reviews. Obviously, you know what? I'm in the swing of these things, man. I'm starting to enjoy doing some of these live streams. I've not been doing like 2 hour ones or anything like that, but I think doing a little 45 minute to an hour show talking about a subject is a good way to interact with the family and interact with you guys and stuff like that. And it's actually less taxing on me because doing like the longer the videos that I do and stuff like that can sometimes take a long time. And it's just one of those things that I enjoy doing. So as you guys all kind of get in here, please hit the like button, share it out, all that kind of good stuff. Really appreciate that. You guys have been really receptive to the stuff that I've been doing lately, and I appreciate it. I continue to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things that I have fun with. I have an opinion, and again, I'm going to continue to share my opinion. Lots of cool stuff to actually talk about lately. If you guys didn't know, this sort of came out last night, and I was wanting to wait to talk about it on Xbox Nation tonight, but that's sort of up in the air whether or not that's going to happen. So I'm going to do a video and talk about this particular thing, and then hopefully we can, maybe sort of cover this for a little bit. But just wanted to say, hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, Chris, I see you there. Let's see. Buck Rogers says, crap will make fun of games like Wasteland 3 coming out, but I can't wait. Listen, if you're happy for Wasteland 3 coming out, all the power to you, my friend. The only point that I would make, like, I would never stop anybody from liking something or wanting to look forward to something. The only point that I would make is, that's great for you, but I would say that the average consumer is looking for a big AAA exclusive experience on Xbox. And one of the points that I'm going to get into as we talk about Buck Roger, I don't know, something came up, so I'm not sure that I'm going to do that tonight, unfortunately. So, hey, what's up, Turk? What's up, Finest? I appreciate you. Hey, Finest, man, I appreciate all the links and stuff you've been sending me, bro. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. So anyway, as you guys join in here, please like the video, share it out, and stuff like that. I wanted to talk about this because it's not actually, I'm not going to be negative as you might think with what I'm talking about. So if you guys didn't know, yesterday there was a CNBC article, and it was talking about the Xbox One and why Japanese gamers don't buy Xbox One. And it talks about how when Microsoft announced they were doing a video game console, people were skeptical because Microsoft was known for software, not hardware. And then it says almost 2 decades later, Xbox has become a popular console, holding its own against Sony and Nintendo. But there's one market where it hasn't been a hit with consumers, Japan. So when Microsoft released Xbox in 2001 in the United States, Japan was the gaming juggernaut of the world. It was home to the big three console makers, Nintendo, Sega, and Sony, and had the best developers. Microsoft faced the challenges and kind of came out and was kind of doing their thing or whatever. But it also talks about how the Xbox One is at 46 million units sold. And, to me personally, I think that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, if you were to ask me seriously, like, I know I make a lot of jokes and I go 28 million or 32 million. That was like a running gag for me, was to kind of make fun of it. And, because there was no official number. Microsoft's last official number was 14.5 million, and that was, in 2014. So it was easy to kind of poke fun and talk a little bit about it as a joke, and that's how I would do it. And so for me personally, that's something that I would be talking about. What's up, Sergio? Appreciate you coming in here. Y9 Power says 46 million should not happen again. 46 million is good, but could have been better. Listen, there's some people that probably really thought that the Xbox One was at 30 million or 35 million. 46 million, I don't think it's horrible, but when you take a look at what happened with the Xbox 360, then you can kind of see that there is like this downward trend with everything that's going on. So for me, like I'm saying, the Xbox 360 would do almost 90 million, and now we're 6 years into this console generation. You've had 2 hardware revisions of the Xbox One, which should refresh people and should let people be able to have fun and stuff like that. But instead, it's really kind of just trailed off. So at 6 years, you're at 46 million. That's well under 10 million a year sold. And the funny thing is that if you look at it early on, Xbox was kind of keeping up with PS4 to start with. So you have to imagine that probably 25 of this million out of the 46 came within the first few years, meaning that things have significantly slowed down, which actually proves my point that while it's not as horrible as some might have thought, that the fact that the Xbox One has continued to slow down in sales in a direct correlation with their slowdown of AAA exclusives. Okay, so that's the point that I would make. I would say, okay, this is a little bit interesting because, you know, they're going to have that kind of slow trickle or whatever, you know what I mean? And that, I think, is something that people are just going to have to kind of face as being factual now, right? So if we actually do have this number, and if this number is actually accurate, then we can actually look at this and go, well, you know what? There's a direct correlation to the fall off of Xbox One sales versus the lack of AAA exclusives and the quality of exclusives that have continued to kind of go down further and further, which is really, really unfortunate because, like I said, I really do like, I really do like Xbox, and I want them to do well, but according to CNBC, Microsoft is at 46.9 Xbox One consoles, to be sure. Now, here's the thing. According to GameSpot, their original idea was the goal to sell 200 million consoles. We've never even seen a console sell that many units, and this was a published article in 2016 on GameSpot. Xbox boss Phil Spencer revealed that Microsoft's original goal at the time when Don Matrick was running the Xbox division was for Xbox One to sell 200 million consoles. Spencer did not say if this figure was for Xbox One alone or if it was include future updates like Scorpio or whatever comes next. Whatever the case, 200 million is a big number and would be well ahead of PlayStation 2's individual record of 150 million units shipped. So they had this 200 million idea for the Xbox One, and I don't think that that's like, you dream big. I get that, like they're a business and they want to kind of push things a certain way. I completely understand that 100%. I'm just saying, if they really are approaching 50, which, by the way, again, that's not as horrible as people thought. Okay, why not come out and say so? I don't understand why why they would be so fearful of mentioning that, because I haven't seen a lot of people go, well, that's terrible. Okay, like, oh my gosh, that's so terrible. Like, people realistically are saying that's not as bad as I thought. It's not as bad. So to be honest with you, I think that that's very interesting that we've actually kind of had to see that. So according to this in the CNBC article, it says Microsoft's Xbox consoles have become a global hit, but there's one market where they don't sell well, Japan. Of the 46.9 million Xbox One sold through the second quarter of 2019, just 0.3% have been in Japan, according to IDC. So if you wonder what IDC is, they're like an analytical firm that kind of uses data and tracks data. I believe they can get information from several sources, including like the NPD, and I believe like Media Creates, which is like the Japanese one, and also the UK one. So you figure you might be able to get a fairly substantial or close to accurate reading from this. Okay, so again, that this could be more in line of what is actually there, give or take a million or two, in my opinion. Okay, so this is probably pretty accurate and nothing to be completely ashamed of. But again, why do they hide it, and why do they act like, hey, you know what I mean, it doesn't matter, it's not important, et cetera, et cetera? Like, I just feel like they've kind of let themselves put themselves down this drain into everybody thinking that no numbers is bad numbers, and that's on them too, right? Like, here's the thing. I'm not really a political guy, okay? I'm not a political person at all. But let me just say this real quick, okay? The way that things are set up with voting, like when you vote for something worldwide, like say a president, they start announcing, the winners in the states that that ended first, and then because of the time difference, other people maybe haven't even voted yet, but they won't want to go out and vote for a loser, so they'll vote just to vote for say they voted for the winner. Okay, so what I'm saying is, people have it in their head that Xbox, the perception is that Xbox is so very bad, right? It's selling poorly, it has no games, it has this, it has that. Why not come out and go, you know what, Halo 5 sold 11 million copies. You know, Gears of War 4 sold 5 million copies. Forza Horizon 4 sold 8 million copies. We've sold 47.4 million Xbox Ones. And all things considered, we're very proud of that fact. The fact that they hide so many different things through these different avenues really kind of it gives them even worse perception, right? Because this 46 million number is not bad at all. It's not terrible. While it's clearly not nearly as good as Sony has done, it's considering where they really came from with the initial reveal and things like that. I would say that, you know, it's a pretty decent number and still ahead of the Nintendo Switch. So you had people theorizing, myself included, that the Nintendo Switch had already overtaken the Xbox One, because the Nintendo Switch, I believe, is close to 40 million, and obviously it will overtake it because Xbox One has completely fallen off in sales. Obviously, there's another Xbox coming, and the lack of exclusives from here on out, or big AAA exclusives from here on out, really kind of puts an end to any kind of thought that, you know, they could do anything in regards to being able to push units. I guess if they had some kind of closeout sales or something like that with it, but as far as I can tell from what I can see, it does look like, you know, this thing will probably hit, could possibly hit with some deals this Black Friday and stuff like that. You could easily hit 50 million, which is more than acceptable. Because if you look at it, even where Nintendo had fallen off on different spots, you know, like, wouldn't the Wii U have been considered kind of a success if it hit 50 million, but instead it really tanked? So, you know, obviously the Xbox One has some pretty decent things going for it. I would say the main thing that has really hurt Microsoft is the lack of different exclusives to go along with Forza, Halo, and Gears. Even as somebody who loves those franchises to death, like, I really do love those franchises, they get stale to me. Like, Gears 5 is a game that I still haven't gone back to, okay? And I love the Gears franchise. Halo, like, that's had a bit longer of a wait now, and so maybe there's a little bit more excitement there depending on what they show off and depending on what route they go. Like, I don't want this to be a game as a service type of game. I want them just to come out with a great single-player game and have great multiplayer. As long as you, like, you don't have to change the multiplayer much from 5 because people loved 5's multiplayer. So add on to that, have a Forge at launch, allow us to disable crossplay, and have a great single-player campaign, and Halo is back, in my opinion, okay? The Forza games, they're obviously taking a little bit of a break there as well, so why not just have some other games that you believe in that you can pump a ton of money into and market and, you know, and believe in those games, and then have those games come out. So hopefully we can get that next generation. It just sucks that so far this generation, we've really got next to nothing in terms of, you know, exclusives outside of those games. And when you look at the top 10 best-selling Xbox exclusives this generation, there's a reason why it's all Halo and all Gears and all Forza, with the exception of State of Decay 2 and I believe Sea of Thieves, which was a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I'm not going to knock Sea of Thieves. I've been very adamant that Sea of Thieves is actually pretty good as well. Greg E3 says, I'm guessing 46 million isn't what most people thought, but it's a win for all gamers regardless of the platform. Yeah, it means that, you know what, it makes it worthwhile for Microsoft to continue to be able to do those, which is very important. Again, people go, well, sales don't really matter. Listen, if this thing had really you know, really not done well, then you could maybe say something. But it looks like it's done well enough to say, hey, you know, we've come back from this. We're going to be able to, you know, we're going to be able to kind of do our thing and continue to keep going and try to grow our brand. So, again, this isn't bad news. I'm not trying to take a crap on it. I'm just saying, for my opinion, giving you an idea of why I think Xbox has had some of the problems they've had with the sales. Like, imagine if they would have had a slew, if they could have done what the PlayStation 3 did last generation, towards the end of the generation, where they just came out with exclusive after exclusive, then I believe they could have probably, they could have been at the 70 to 80 million mark right now. You know, if they would have had like these killer exclusives that really kind of shine. Now, here's the thing. I think that this maybe even helps them in terms of, are people still buy an Xbox even though you can get their games on PC. Like, this might even help them in that direction. Maybe even that negative perception that PC gamers, that you can get your games on those games on PC. Maybe, console gamers just like me don't want to play on PC. Like, I know some are switching, and I've seen that personally, but I'm saying in the grand scheme of thing, maybe that's a low number of people doing that. So Xbox could still do something if they could come out with really, really good exclusives. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, and as much as I would like it to say, hey, maybe it will help, I don't think having a Halo at launch for the next generation is going to do what they want. Like, you need something new, in my opinion, something fresh, and I feel like they're going to have to get that soon out of the better, sooner rather than later, and hopefully they can. I want them to really, really listen to the fans next generation. I really do want them to listen to the fans. I want them to pay attention to what the people are asking for. Like, people really want great exclusive games and great exclusive content, and the fact that Microsoft has kind of failed at that this generation really should be a wake-up call. And just if they want to know how to win, then I think that and not even winning in terms of selling more consoles, but even in their terms of winning, which is reaching a ton of of subscribers and things like that. Well, guess what? If you were able to sell more consoles and appeal to more gamers, you would get more subscribers and you would get more people to actually support what you're doing. So I really think that would be something to kind of look forward to for them as a company. And I'm just happy. You know what? Like, again, I know I'm usually the one that's kind of crapping all over Xbox lately, but I think that they would be really, really happy with themselves if they could pull off something like that. And I think that would be something that they could do really well. So let me see. Oh, GZ says this guy loves Sony and downplays Microsoft, but has a Gears of War logo on his avatar. Actually, that's an official. I have that tattoo on my arm. That's me in the avatar, right? So anyway, what I'm saying is, I am an Xbox fan. You can say that I love Sony. I like Sony's first party, and I think they get it a little bit better in terms of exclusives and stuff like that. But I don't want Microsoft to go anywhere, because you want that competition and you want people to be able to have that competition. So as you guys get in here, almost 300 on this kind of impromptu show, please hit the like button and share it out. I would definitely appreciate that. It definitely means a lot to me when you guys kind of support that. A 9 Lives, he says, Chloe Brill showed Xbox Scarlet will be more powerful. Listen, I'm not knocking that guy, but I will just say that I haven't had any interactions with him. I responded to a tweet that he made yesterday, and he blocked me on Twitter. So I don't really believe that he's an insider or has any kind of information. He really damage controls a lot for Microsoft, and I know a little something about that. But to be honest with you, he was kind of attacking the way that Sony just randomly dropped information about PS5 on social media and thought that it was like kind of a stupid thing to do. And he probably didn't realize that he made tweets praising Microsoft for doing the same thing with Xbox Scarlet. So yeah, listen, we all got a little fanboy in us, but we just got to remember to check that when we're talking about this kind of stuff, right? So again, I think the PS5 is going to be incredibly powerful. These things are going to be so close in power that it's not going to matter. They're going to be probably the same price. It's going to come down to the content and what do you want out of these consoles. Like, the content is exactly what's going to matter. You know what I mean? I think that's exactly what's going to matter most. People want great exclusive games, and that's something that hasn't changed over the course of the history of gaming, right? Like, everybody wants great exclusives, and I think that that's something that Sony gets, Nintendo gets it, but why doesn't Microsoft get it? Like, that would be the only thing that I would say. Like, why doesn't Microsoft get it, especially given this point in time where, you know, it's become so obvious. Like, they're not stupid. They have, they have facts. They have different data that they can look at, and hopefully they can continue to do that and continue to get people maybe excited or reinvigorated about the brand. One of the things that I've really kind of complained a lot about, and I don't understand why people kind of damage control this, is why not do something to get people excited? I get that a new generation is coming, but you still have 14 months until that point. Why not just, show people something? You know what I mean? Like, show people a game, a tech demo, something that will actually get people excited and on board with what's coming. Because the way that Sony does things, the way that Sony gets people excited by showing things or just talking about things, is really how Microsoft should do things as well. Okay, I'm not saying you should show games 5 years out, but when you're an Xbox fan and you look at the facts and you say, okay, we haven't had a new AAA game announcement since 2015, a new AAA IP announced since 2015. We don't have another AAA exclusive coming for the next 14 months, so over a year. It looks like Microsoft literally stopped game creation for a few years during this generation completely, and we've gotten low-quality exclusives that seem like they go in Game Pass because they're low quality, and Microsoft certainly wants to avoid that kind of idea that that's what they're all about. Like, Microsoft is clearly about more than just low-quality stuff. They should probably look at themselves as, Game Pass as a place to play quality games, and that would have been a good thing if you would have put Forza Horizon 4 in there, and then Gears of War, and then Halo. But you need other stuff that sits on those levels, that AAA level, instead of the State of Decay 2s and the Sea of Thieves and the Crackdown 3s. Like, those games did zero favors for Game Pass or the perception of Xbox, and that's something that they're going to have to change in the future. Now, listen, can they change it? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is Microsoft, right? They've got a lot of money. The thing that I worry about most is what happens when this cloud streaming stuff kind of fails and goes the wayside, right? Like, I saw Google Stadia, they were talking about how they have this predictive movement stuff, and Microsoft has talked about this in the past too, where they'll predict your next movement before you do it to help alleviate what's always going to be there with cloud streaming games, which is that lag, that input lag. Because what happens with cloud streaming is you input something, it goes through the internet to them, they move it, and it comes all the way back to you. No matter how fast your internet is, there's always going to be some kind of input lag there. So there's this technology that's saying, hey, we learn how you play, and we'll push the button for you, right? Well, I think that in some cases maybe okay, but what about multiplayer games, right? Or Twitch shooters or fighting games? I mash buttons. I don't know about you guys. If I play a Mortal Kombat or a Killer Instinct, I'm mashing buttons. How in the heck can some kind of service figure out what I'm going to do when I don't even know what I'm going to do? Okay, so that to me sounds completely bogus and terrible, right? Like, I don't want something to play for me, like, that's why I think this cloud stuff isn't going to really work. I especially think, like, in the UK and in the North America, that stuff is going to fail really, really hard. And I wonder, when that does fail, what's going to happen? What are going to be the feedback? Like, I think Sony's going to be more than fine. Nintendo's not even really dipping their foot in that pool because they have a portable device that plays things natively, and people like that. So you look at Sony, and they're going to be okay because they're a great hardware company with great exclusives, and they're going to sell 100 million consoles next gen as well. On Microsoft's side, it seems like they're betting mostly on this cloud stuff, and if that fails, are they going to give up on the console space? Like, are they just going to give up completely? Like, that's something that I worry about, and hopefully they can kind of get out there and let people know a little bit, because I know that people kind of worry about that. It can't be just me, in terms of what they're going to be able to do. Hey, hit the like button. Maybe we can get up over 100. I would really appreciate it. Wait, is somebody saying Clobril is Mike Ibarra? Is that true? I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. It can't be true. Let's see. I'm speaking the trend. The narrative is even the Switch is about to lap Xbox. It's still doing better than PS4. Well, listen, when it comes to the Xbox One and PS4 and the Switch is obviously the newer console. Some people look at that as a next-gen console, okay? Even though it's not as powerful, people look at the next in line as being like the next gen thing. So we'll have to see how that works out for them. I still honestly think that it's just a situation where Microsoft, they really hurt themselves with the lack of content. Can they still come back next generation? They sure can, but they're going to have that content, and they're going to have to be able to do something. You know what I mean? Oh, wow. Hey, so Mike Ibarra just left Xbox. Wow. He says, after 20 years at Microsoft, it's time for my next adventure. It's been a great ride at Xbox, and the future is bright. Thanks to everyone at Team Xbox. I'm incredibly proud. Wow, that's super interesting, you guys. What do you guys think about that? And thanks for the heads up. Mike Ibarra just quit Xbox. Holy cow. Holy cow. Like, I would have never thought that in a million years. You know what I mean? Wow. Wow. Hold on, let me process this for a second. You know why that's weird to me? Is because it just seems like they're gearing up for a new console. Wow. He literally just announced that. That is really weird. So that's strange because I got to be honest with you guys, right? Like, I've interviewed Mike Ibarra before, and well, listen, to say he worked at Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really hard to say exactly why he would quit at this particular time. I honestly think that that's a really strange time to quit for him, because he did so much for Xbox in terms of being able to push, like, for the hardware. I can remember him doing some live streams where he was like really competitive and talked about how they were gonna, win it and in it to win it and all this kind of stuff. That's very, very strange to me that he would just quit just like that out of the blue. It doesn't really understand. He says, most importantly, he wants to thank all the fellow gamers on great fans for the support. Keep on gaming, and I hope to see you online soon. So that's incredibly strange, because he was actually like a CEO type of Xbox, right? So he actually had gotten promoted recently. So 20 years, and now he's out. That is so strange. Maybe Mike doesn't like how gaming is trending. I'm not really sure, but that is so strange. And I got to say, it's very, very interesting to see him kind of just leave like that. You know what I mean? Like, that is such a strange way to leave. But at least he was able to say that. Maybe they're going to bring somebody else in his place. I don't know. Man, that's really strange to me. I cannot believe that. You know what I mean? That's incredibly strange. But yeah, man, I wish Mike well. I don't think he's a bad guy or anything like that. I just think that guy has been one of the more prominent faces for Xbox for the last few years, and to see him kind of just quit like that sort of blows my mind. Maybe maybe something is going on there. No, I don't think Xbox is in trouble because Mike Ibarra left. You know what I mean? I think that he'll be fine. Wow. Let me think. So Mike Ibarra was like the CEO. Mike Ibarra. So he was the one that came on and did the, he was the director of program management for Xbox, and then he got promoted to corporate vice president. Yeah, so he's the corporate vice president of Xbox management at Microsoft. So yeah, he got promoted to corporate vice president. So yeah, he was definitely a higher up at Xbox, and that is just crazy that that he would just quit like that. He's actually, hold on. Rich of Cucumber says another executive has left Microsoft. Now Phil Spencer. Oh, I wish. He said more of his new adventures soon, and he's super excited about it. Yeah. Tis the season goes. You're not that lucky with the whole I don't listen. I wish Mike the best. Wow, that's so interesting. So anyway, Oh, Snake says they're getting rid of all the people who aren't Kumbaya. Yeah, you know what? Listen, hey, as everybody comes in, please hit the like button. Yeah, that is breaking news that Mike Ibarra has left. It's crazy to see that he's left after 20 years, and maybe they just want to go in a slightly different direction for next generation or whatever, which I can respect that. I just you sort of wonder like what's going to happen down the road, because this is just one of those things where it looks like, in my opinion, you have a lot of issues and stuff like that with within Microsoft, like 343 Studios. You have a lot of people leaving there, and then you're supposedly building this new console, and now he's gone there. Wonder maybe Sony hired. Think about this. What if Sony hired Mike Ibarra, and they want him to take Layden's place or something along those lines? What do you guys think about that? Rich says, Crap, do you think if Halo Infinite was only on Xbox Scarlet, will make Scarlet sell more than PS5 in launch window? If it was good, I think it would, because I think that what's going on now is, Halo can be played on every Xbox One, so that's very, very interesting to me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's very, very interesting to me that's happening. So, yeah, I don't know. He was in charge of backwards compatibility. Yeah, there is no more backwards compatibility, so that's very interesting. Rated Demonic says, what's the bigger loss here, Sean Layden or Mike Ibarra? Wow. Okay, so in my opinion, Mike Ibarra is the bigger loss. And the reason why I say that is not a fanboy thing, but Mike Ibarra was constantly on social media for Xbox, and that's just a fact. Sean Layden, he wasn't like, I don't know that Sean Layden was a gamer himself. Mike Ibarra streamed on Mixer and was a constant interaction with fans on Xbox. So that is completely weird to me, that happened. So I think the bigger loss is Mike Ibarra, because he was a really outspoken person for Microsoft. So I think that's going to end up being the bigger loss, because he was kind of this guy that used to do giveaways on Twitter all the time. He'd give away Xbox Live or games or whatever. And so for him to be leaving, that's a huge blow. Yo, 9 Lives, tell me I'm wrong. You think that a bigger loss is Sean Layden, who rarely interacted with anybody, didn't stream any games, didn't do any giveaways, Mike Ibarra would pop in on people's podcasts, man. I interviewed him. He hopped on Crossfire a couple of times. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm saying is, this guy was a consummate fan source for people, right? People could always interact with him and talk with him, and he'd respond. If you ever talked to Sean Layden, he'd never respond to you and things like that. So Sean Layden was more of a corporate asset, whereas Mike Ibarra was kind of a man of the people. So definitely Mike Ibarra is losing. They're losing that source there. So, we have to agree to disagree, 9 Lives. I feel like Sean Layden leaving is a blow, of course, but I do think that obviously Mike Ibarra, that just blows my mind that this guy who was this consummate connection with the fans, dude, is now gone. Sir X-Man says the last of the OG Xbox creators is gone. Yeah, I cannot believe that. That is really strange to me. Mike Ibarra is a huge loss. Listen, if you can refute what I'm saying, then and give me some kind of reason why you think possibly Sean is a bigger deal. I don't think so. I mean, like I said, Mike was constantly there, talking to the fans, doing giveaways, streaming on Mixer, talking up Xbox. So this is very strange to me that this has kind of happened the way it is, and I would be totally surprised if they don't pick some woman to replace Mike, right? Like, maybe that's the thing. Maybe the fact that, I don't know. So that's very strange to me. I just, for some reason, I feel like that's a huge blow to Microsoft. That's a huge blow to Microsoft, Wow, man. Excuse me. Hey, everybody, hit the like button. I would appreciate it. 9 Live says Phil's the face of Xbox, not Ibarra. Listen, Phil doesn't really talk to anybody anymore. Look at what happens on Xbox. Okay. Look at Twitter. Okay, Mike Ibarra interacts with people every single day. Phil Spencer goes long periods of time with no interactions whatsoever. Mike does a lot of giveaways, retweets, and stuff like this. Like I said, he's hopped on different podcasts and things like that. That is what I'm talking about. Like, this is the stuff that could really hurt Xbox if they don't handle it right. Like, they've got to handle this right. They've got to bring in somebody that maybe people know. They got to make the transition. But whoever they bring in, they have to really, really, they really have to bring in somebody that's going to be able to do a good job with the fans. Okay, because in my opinion, that's going to be the biggest thing. You got to be able to do something. You got to be able to interact with the fans. You got to be able to keep people happy. You've got to be able to keep people kind of flowing. And I feel like that's something that Mike was really good at. Even if you didn't always agree with them, because I didn't always agree with the guy, but you had to respect the fact that he was constantly, promoting Xbox, and he was constantly doing these giveaways, and he would answer you. Like, I had a problem once where he would constantly talk about, keyboard and mouse, how controller-based people could beat keyboard and mouse people. And I told him, I was like, well, you know what? It should always just be the option, Mike, on console, because some pro gamer is able to be a pro with a controller and beat somebody with a keyboard and mouse doesn't mean that the average gamer is going to be able to do the same thing. And so you got to be mindful of that kind of stuff. And he was pretty respectful about that stuff, So he did kind of mention, that he thought the same thing. So, I think Mike is going to be one of the ones that people miss incredibly a lot. It's really sad to see him kind of go, because he was somebody that was there for a lot of the time. Exactly. Half Pint says Ibarra was the guy in the trenches and the most upfront in terms of Xbox news. Yes, he was. No, we'll see Xbox in 2020. This is just a bump in the road for them. Ruby Rose to replace Ibarra. Let's not go there. Bonnie Ross taking over. Let's Phil is Doctor from Demolition Man. Be well. Yeah, man, listen. I'm sure that they're going to be fine. They're going to hire somebody in. Hey, we're close to 100 likes. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button, I would appreciate it. Get us up over that mark. Again, I'm doing this kind of impromptu type situation. I know some of you guys are pretty receptive to that. But, yeah, I got to tell you, this is some incredible news that I've seen in terms of what's going on. So again, it's strange that everything that's going on, even this stuff is kind of going on. So anyway, there was also some layoffs on Sony, which again, this has nothing to do with Xbox, but morale at Sony right now, according to this article, is through the floor because of layoffs, and the feeling is that the U.S. is running the show from now on. And they spoke of some bewilderment ahead of the PS5. So again, not everything might be sunshine and rainbows at either way. You know what I mean? Like, you've got this huge shakeup, and you have to wonder if some of this has to do with the trend of gaming and the way that gaming is going nowadays, right? So this is really interesting to see, and very, kind of, do we believe it? I don't really know. But one of this guy, he says he was part of the creative services team at PlayStation that got laid off today. The group of talented and passionate people are out of a job and now looking forward. If you're hiring for project coordinators and managers and designers, please post below. So a lot of people at Sony were actually laid off today, and some of them even since the PS1 and things like that, responsible for mass market brands such as Wipeout, Little Big Planet, Killzone, SingStar, iToy, and much of PlayStation VR's output. And however, the feeling among many at Sony talked to is that the ARM will have a significantly reduced influence during the coming console generation. The influence has become so strong that European employees were not even aware of the U.S.'s decision to announce PlayStation 5 details on Wired yesterday, and only found out about this year's pair of reveal articles when they were published. So they're saying like Sony in Europe don't have an idea. That's like the left arm doesn't know what the right arm is doing, apparently. So that's very interesting, and that could be some discord. You know what? We don't want to see anybody falter, but the interesting thing here is you have some discord at Sony, and Microsoft could very well take advantage of that if they could, if they're smart, they could really go out there and sort of take advantage of that and do something unexpected. So that would be completely interesting, in my opinion, to see them go out there and take advantage. Like Sony is going through some difficult changes, and not just the Layden thing, right? But they're like suddenly more interested in the services and some of these other things, and I just feel like maybe that's something that's not their wheelhouse, I guess. And so I'm just worried that, it's something that could come back and bite them in the butt later on. But wow, just an incredible news day so far. Just absolutely incredible to see that happen. You know what I mean? Like I'm honestly kind of blown away by all this stuff. Let's see. JD Gamer says, I think both companies are gearing up for next gen, and there will be lots of corporate shuffling and transition. Unfortunately, that means some layoffs too. Listen, I know, and Sony, who is a Japanese parent company, they have their traditional start of the next fiscal year, which just started. That's when Layden left, and that's when the Japanese head of PlayStation left as well. And so they're doing some shuffling, but it does seem like there's a little bit of disarray in terms of just what's going on at Sony, and having, massive layoffs. And then you have obviously, you obviously have, all this kind of stuff that's going on. I am at kind of a loss for words. And then you have Mike Ibarra quit today. Like, this is the guy who has, like, sporadically will go to people's podcasts, right? And just do their podcast or whatever. He did Crossfire a couple times. We interviewed him right between right before E3 started, and when we got Scorpio, right? We did an interview with him, and at the end of the interview, I asked him if he was a Scorpio, kind of as a joke, and he laughed. So, I really do think that major changes are coming. So if you're somebody who likes traditional dinosaur gaming like me, it's a scary time to be a gamer, because everything is changing right before us, and it's something that I think we're all going to have to sort of deal with as we get older. Very interesting to see this sort of happen. Like, the people that we like are leaving, and more and more people are kind of just coming in that, and it looks like they're going to be going after this kind of digital streaming type world that's so different than what we're used to. And then the people that we're used to seeing, the Reggies and the Sean Laydens and the Mikey Barras, they're all gone now. That's a very scary thought. And I gotta say, it's something that is going to take a little bit. It's almost upsetting in a way that so many of the people that you look to as like The Rock, as central to these corporations, are now kind of leaving. And what's going to happen? I think that there's so many questions to be asked, but who's really out there that's going to be able to ask him? You know what I mean? It's just crazy. I don't understand. Like, this is totally out of left field, and it's just one of those things, man. Like, honestly, when Xbox was the underdog for like this entire generation, and now to see, like, Mike was out there. Mike wanted to be out there to announce the backwards compatibility because that was such a thing. It was such a big thing. And now it's like this guy who was so bleeding green is now gone from Xbox. And that's just, so weird. So weird. Hey, everybody, hit the like button. I would appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I see Luca. What's up, Luca? Thank you for stopping by. Just am doing kind of a weird, random podcast talking about some sales. Then the Mikey Barra stuff hit. That's incredibly weird. Hey, Y9 Power, man, I'm a traditional gamer too, man. I hate change. Like, I don't like change. I like great games, but I tell you what, it was just one of those things that was very upsetting. Just, man, completely blowing me away right now by the breaking news. Not only do we get Ibarra leaving, but then we also get this stuff with the Sony stuff, where they're under a lot of discord and they don't know what each other's doing. It's really, really unfortunate. So hopefully, man, we get sales number, we get all this big stuff, and it's just like a pretty incredible news day. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. Delano says 46 million ain't bad, but it sure as hell ain't what they wanted so far this generation. Yeah, I covered that a little bit earlier. Microsoft Phil Spencer has originally has said that they had the idea that they wanted to sort of talk about 200 million Xbox Ones. That was what they wanted to really kind of go for at the beginning of this generation. So Seth says Red Ring of Death helps sales. I don't see how Red Ring of Death helps sales when if you got really pissed off, you would just buy a PlayStation 3, right? Not only that, but they gave 3-year warranties out on those Xbox 360s. Literally 3-year warranties, no questions asked. Free shipping, all the whole deal. They gave you free Xbox Live Gold. I don't think very many people went out and bought a whole nother new Xbox when they got Red Ring. They just sent them in. So many people did. Like, that's why they lost so much money with that. Half Pint says Microsoft going to throw Layden $46 million, make his salary parallel to how many units Xbox sell. I think that they're going to really be able to, I don't think that the Scarlet is going to sell as much, nearly as much as the Xbox One, if that $46 million is right. But it's going to be interesting to see how that sort of works out, just because how that works. Pitch Black says $46 million is impressive, to be honest, especially since Xbox has no games. Pitch Black, here's the thing. Microsoft was announcing sales within the first couple years of Xbox One, and it was at 14.5 million rather quickly. So it's not hard to believe that maybe they were at 25, 30 million within that first few years. And what happened is you can see that things started to trail off then once they hit this situation where their games were so lackluster. Okay? Because they did do a lot of pro consumer things, but again, without exclusive games, without stuff like that, I just feel like that perception, that negative perception, didn't do them any favors. So we can see the correlation now, right? So if let's say they got 30 million, because they used to go, Xbox One is ahead of where Xbox 360 is, but they stopped saying that after a while. But you can only say that for a certain amount of time, and about the time when they stopped saying that, you could probably kind of put 2 and 2 together that things weren't going exactly how they wanted it to go. But again, it's very interesting to see the correlation of they start putting out these horrible quality games, right? These low budget games, next to no AAA exclusives, no new AAA exclusives, and then sales continue to fall off and fall off and fall off, and that's exactly what's happening. So there's a direct correlation. So anybody that goes, oh, well, exclusives don't matter, I get that we mostly play a lot of multiplats. I totally understand that. But I'm also going to say that the exclusives are what sell these things, because you don't need a particular box to play multiplats. And trying to explain that you can get a few extra P's of resolution, so you should pay $100 more or $200 more for an X or whatever, that's a hard sell on the average gamer. So to be honest with you, it all just comes down to the exclusive games. And people go, well, I can play the multiplats on PS4 plus all those great PS4 exclusives. What's the extra perk of buying an Xbox One? They don't have any great exclusives. And again, the average person is going to probably buy a regular PS4, which is more powerful than a S. So you realistically have to look at it that way. Like, most people that own an Xbox own a launch Xbox One or an S. They don't own the X. So yeah, it's very easy to kind of see how people kind of do that. And people, if you own a base PS4, you're probably pretty happy still. You know what I mean? Like, those games look tremendous. So yeah, I just feel like they've done, Sony did a better job there. But man, what a change. What a change in the way things are going. Hit the like button if you guys are just joining in here. I appreciate it. State of Decay 3, AAA all the way crap. Hey, man, I've heard that before, right? I've heard that before. They said AAA all the time. Xbox Nation happened tonight. I would love to do Xbox Nation tonight, but something kind of came up. Something kind of came up with, and so I got to take care of that. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do Xbox Nation. But yeah, I'm here now doing some live stuff. We're talking, we're having some fun. We're doing our thing. Listen, the live streams are always fun for me because I get to interact with you guys, and a lot of times I don't get to read the we don't get to read the comments and stuff like that. So it's always interesting to kind of talk about that. So yeah, I'm very, again, what an interesting day, right? So you have Mike Ibarra leaving, you have you have this Sony troubles, You have you know, just so many different things. You got the Layden stuff that happened recently. You got finally maybe some concrete numbers for the Xbox One. Not as bad as some people thought. Not as good as what some people thought. Obviously, I've seen people going out there saying that Xbox One sold 50 or 60 million. Clearly not the case. But hey, 46 million over, you know, 6 years. That's not terribly bad. I think that's, you know, not nearly as good as the Xbox 360, but still not as bad as what like a lot of people had kind of envisioned or whatever. So hopefully, you know, you would hope that they would have built up some kind of you know, momentum off of that. But again, it's really hard to build momentum when you don't have anything like exclusive wise to get people excited. You know what I mean? And this really goes. So if there's 46 million, almost 47 million Xbox Ones, I hearken back to the fact that Gears of War 5 had 3 million players in the first week when they basically gave it away for free across 100 million PCs and almost 50 million Xbox Ones. That's incredibly low for like a franchise that is really one of their biggest and best known franchises. So to me, that kind of says everything you need to know about maybe where they're at with some of their games. Like hopefully they can bring something that's going to get people excited, because I'm not sure if Gears is exciting people the way it once did. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, they changed it so much, right? They've changed it a little bit, maybe too much with the characters and stuff like that. People like being Marcus and, you know, those guys. I don't know what else they could have done. Maybe, you know, unless they were to reboot it or do a soft reboot, there's not much else they could have done. So I understand what they did, but it's just these new characters aren't nearly as interesting as what the old characters were. And so I think people are having a hard time kind of relating and finding interest. And then they also kind of, believe it or not, casualize the game a bit to try to grow the audience. And I think that might have backfired a little bit, because if you look at Gears of War on the Xbox dashboard, it's already, I think, out of the top 10. So, yeah, you have to kind of look at that and go, well, you know, somewhere along the line, somebody messed up here, and, you know, maybe they can fix it. Maybe it needs a reboot. But something definitely ain't right there, and hopefully they can get something going before it's too late. Rich says, do you think Scarlet will outdo Xbox One sales? No, I don't. I don't think that at all. So, let me see. No Xbox Nation Nights, worst news in these big devs. Yeah, you know, listen, sometimes life comes up, you know what I mean, and stuff happens. So, you know, I would really like to be able to do that tonight as well, but I just can't. Mr. Twister says, shout out Crapgamer, F the haters. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the support. By the way, you know, he's a member of the channel. If you guys want to become a member of the channel, hey, I appreciate it. Mikey Barrow is leaving Xbox. Tis the season, says PSN alone made more money than the whole Xbox division and whole of Nintendo, which proves console sales equals more money. Well, yeah, listen. I said Microsoft is of the belief if they could get 100 million people subscribed to Game Pass, they would make a lot of money, and they probably would. The problem is, much like Netflix is losing money, and they spend so much money on content. Microsoft would constantly have to spend money in order to make the content that they need. And I feel like people don't understand that. Like, it's a constant thing where you're definitely going to have to continue to just spend so much money to keep things going, and that's good for gamers, but you need to have that content ready to go, and you've got to be able to support the people with what they want, and you've got to have variety and all that kind of stuff. And will Microsoft be able to sustain that long term until they reach? If they might never reach that amount of people, right? Like, I don't know how many people are on Game Pass, but I can assure that it's not more than 10 million, and the reason why even the numbers would be as high as they are is because people jumped on that $1 deal. And that's smart, but again, are those people going to be locked in long term? Again, I'm locked in till 2022 only because I did the $1 deal. If I would have had to pay, I wouldn't pay anything for Game Pass. If I had to pay anything for it, I would definitely not be there. But because I had Xbox Live Gold until 2022, I just felt like for $1, why not? I've never even used Game Pass, to be honest with you guys. Like, I have it. I was going to use it for Gears 5, but I got a review copy. So I didn't feel the need to go do that. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where I was very cautious with it, and I wanted to make sure that Other people knew that. It's very interesting news day indeed. Again, just to see what's going on. That's what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, wow, just the news today has been incredibly interesting. Don't charge people to play free-to-play games. Hey, that's something that I brought up before as well. Hey, hit the like button. Maybe we can get up to 150. I would appreciate it. Yeah, I agree. Jay Hamill says, crap from a married guy. Crap is going to come up way more often now. Hey, yeah, I get you, man. You're not far off with that. So, yeah, trust me when I say that. Yeah, Mikey, do I think Mike Ibarra leaving is a good thing? No, I don't think that's a good thing at all. I think that Mike Ibarra was the consummate guy. He was okay, so I don't know if you guys are Metallica fans or not, but Jason Newsted was the guy who would stand out there at all hours of the day and sign people's autographs and meet people. He was that fan connection. I'm not saying the other guys wouldn't meet with fans or say hi to fans, but Jason Newsted, the bass player for a long time, was that guy. He was that fan interaction. Mike Ibarra was the Jason Newsted of Xbox, in my opinion. He was the guy that was constantly interacting with the fans, talking to the fans, hopping in podcasts, doing shows, keeping people abreast of what's going on. He really bled green. And now with him gone, that leaves a big void there, because who is the other guy that's in the know tech-wise, right? So you might go Major Nelson or Greenberg, but these guys aren't in the know tech-wise the way that Mike Ibarra was, okay? So you lose something incredibly big there, you know? So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of works out and how people kind of react to this or whatever. What Project Scarlet leaks Sinatra Brown? I'm unaware of one. And if you say Clobrill, that guy has me blocked because he's a complete fraud. So, you know, yeah. I hadn't even really had any kind of interactions with the guy until yesterday. I responded to something he said, and then I got the old blockaroo. Blockaroo. So yeah, you know, just one of those interesting things. Life of being CG or whatever. You know what I mean? Get blocked, all that kind of stuff. So interesting stuff. Where do you think Mike Ibarra is going that he's so excited about? Maybe he's joining Google. Maybe he's joining Sony. I don't know. Maybe he's joining Nintendo. I don't know. He likes Nintendo. Kevin Campbell says, I think Mike is retiring. He's been in the industry. No, well, it looks like from his tweet that he is interesting at that he is going to be doing something else. So he says, hold on. He says, after 20 years at Microsoft, it's time for my next adventure, meaning he's probably going to be doing something else. It's been a great ride at Xbox, and the future is bright. Thanks to everyone at Team Xbox. I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished, and I wish you the best. More soon on what's next for me. Super excited. So he seems like he's super excited about something, you know. Very interesting to see that, no doubt. Mr. Twister says 46 million, 6 years equals 7.5 million per year globally. Ouch. Yeah, that's not a lot, because if you look at it, right, from what Microsoft was able to do with the Xbox 360, they were selling almost 1 million units a year there for a lot of times. So I think that that's very much something that could come back to sort of hurt Xbox long term. But we'll have to see. You know, like, gaming is changing, whether, you know, we want it to or not. So maybe he left a sinking ship, maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out for him. But I wish him the best. I certainly don't have any ill will against the guy. I think that he's he was a good guy. Like, I talked to him many times, and I had interviews with him and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very interesting to see that sort of happen, and sort of sad to see that so many different things have kind of happened lately within the industry that have completely changed everything. You know, like, wow, who would have thought that we'd be going into next generation? No Reggie from Nintendo, no Sean from Sony, no Mike Ibarra from Microsoft. Very strange days indeed with gaming. Very strange. Something came up. 'Tis the season. I'm not going to be able to make it tonight. Do you think Scarlet will have better sales? Crap, no, I don't. M Strong, who is also a member of the channel. You see, he's got a little CG icon, man. Become a member of the channel, and you get one. You also get to ask some questions for some Q&As and stuff like that. Pretty cool stuff. Some little perks. Doesn't cost a lot of money, but yeah, good stuff. Matthew says, Mikey leaving sinking ship, Sony workers being made to walk the plank. Well, listen, restructuring has that, right? Like, the restructures tend to happen, especially around the start of new fiscal financial quarters and things like that. So a lot of this stuff is just another day. But, you know, some of it obviously can have more meaning than others. So we'll have to see how it plays out. Again, I'm very interested to see how it works out, man. Mega Cloud says, you're a good man, crap. Just let the haters hate. Listen, I don't ever take anything. The reason why people go, oh, CG, how come you're so cool with these PlayStation dudes that used to hate on you and make fun of you? And the simple fact of the matter is, I never took it personally. I didn't take it seriously. Just like with the Xbox dudes that clown me now, I don't take it seriously. I don't take it personally. You know, one day they might be back, man. Who knows? If Xbox turn things around and I'm happy and I'm doing positive Xbox videos or positive Xbox podcasts, then, you know, maybe they'll be back and be like, hey, man, you just hurt my feelings or whatever crap. Like, this happens all the time. So I definitely understand that people get in their feelings about this stuff. But again, you know, just from my own personal opinion, it's just been kind of a tough generation for Xbox. And it kind of annoys me when people act as if, you know, no, it hasn't been a bad year or a bad generation for Xbox. Like, that annoys me more than anything. It's just like, you know what? Admit that Xbox has had a really piss poor generation and you want more games. Like, who doesn't want more exclusives? That would be my question. Like, who in their right mind doesn't actually want more exclusives? Like, that to me is hugely unacceptable for people to just kind of be like, I don't really want any more exclusives, you know? We're good. Give us Battletoads and Flight Simulator. You know, like, who the hell wants those games? Man, I want big AAA games. I know you guys do too. So what's wrong with just saying you want that? Like, say what you want. Want what you say. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not whining, okay? If you've spent money on a product, that entitles you to complain about said product. I know, like, people don't understand that. It is not entitlement, but, man, when you spend money, these things are expensive devices. You want exclusives, you want AAA games, then say you want exclusives and AAA games. That's exactly what you should be talking about. So, yeah, very interesting day. One Typical says, strange that as soon as the numbers were released, he left. Listen, I do think that it's interesting that he left right then, but I don't think that there's any correlation there. I bet that he probably had some kind of thing going on as well. Let's see. Thank you, Mr. Twister. Says, give him support, guys. It's just a few bucks. Exactly. It's not like a ton of money or anything, but it actually does help out quite a bit, especially since, one, YouTube, since last Wednesday, does not send out very many notifications to my subscribers. Like 1% get a notification. Two, this seems to happen every couple of months for me for YouTube, where things are going good and people are starting to get more notifications, and then suddenly that just stops. And, you know, sometimes my stuff doesn't even, like, I'll set a video up to launch at a certain time and it never officially launches. And, you know, like, just this kind of stuff happens to me more and more now. And I know it doesn't just happen to me because I talk to other people who have small gaming channels like me, and it happens to them too. It's like they hurt the content creators that are just doing stuff. And the funny thing is my videos are just like goofy videos. They're not like, I don't cuss in them. There's not overly violent stuff in them. There's not, you know what I'm saying? It's just, so it's very interesting to me that how their setup works. You know what I mean? Almost like I get, I don't know what the deal is, but yeah. So I do appreciate the support when you guys can stop by and kind of support and stuff like that. Pitch says, I know he won't answer. I just want to hear him say it. What are you talking about? Let me see. I don't see his. I don't see your question. Are you talking to me, or was there some kind of question with me? Because if it was, I didn't see it. If it was to me, then yeah, I don't know. Mr. Twister says, I never get notifications about your stuff. It's odd. Mr. Twister, you can try hitting the bell. There should be a bell icon in between there. If you hit the bell, you should be able to get a one, or you should be able to get one. But again, it does kind of suck. Mega Cloud says, crap, I'm getting ready for a job interview. If I get it, I'll throw you a few bucks. Appreciate it, man. Andrew Squall, he says, from a terrible loser website source of the 46.9 million worldwide through the second quarter of 2019. Well, it's CNBC. I don't know how much of a loser site that is. You know what I mean? Xbox ain't going nowhere with 46 million. That's not saying they ain't making money. Listen, they're making money. They add everything together, okay? So if you look at how they're able to do things, they pretty much add everything together. It's like, you know, so cloud, Minecraft, like Minecraft for some reason has this resurgence, and it's like even one of the top games on PlayStation, obviously mobile, all this kind of stuff. So Minecraft is making them a ton of money, and that counts towards Xbox, okay? Havoc Engine, anything that uses Havoc Engine goes towards Xbox, you know? Like Game Pass goes towards Xbox, Xbox Live, Xbox, right? So that's why I'm not a financial person, you know what I mean? Like if they're doing well and it seems like they've done well enough to warrant another Xbox, that's cool, you know? I still think 46 million coming off the Xbox 360 is poor, but I also think that it's better than what a lot of people thought, and it's better than what I thought they would have been at, given the way that this generation started. So that's just kind of the way I look at it. It's just one of those type of things, and I hope that they can continue to do more with it. Right? They need to be able to kind of build onto that. Like the best thing for me would have been for them to be able to go and do something. And have a bunch of exclusives to end out the generation. I know you have to get ready for next gen too, but to leave your console gamers the next 14 months as dry as they are, I feel like that's really something that's not going to help them out long term. Like you needed to have something, you had to think ahead, whether you had to buy it or whatever. I just feel like that's something that you had to do a really, really good job. And man, this is just something that is just really, you know, very interesting to see. Like the news today has been very, very interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of talking about this. 46 million plus Game Pass and Live. Okay, Matthew B says, I don't know, because we don't know how many people are paying for Xbox Live, but back in the 360 days, they were getting over $2 billion a year off of just the Xbox Live Gold subscribers. Like, we don't know how many are actually subscribing, but you would assume that they would be getting something there. Wait, Seth says, crap, you called Ashen, Super Lucky, and Path of Exile huge games. Xbox is giving you what you praise. What did you expect? Dude, I don't recall really saying those things. Maybe a little bit in jest or, you know what I mean? But I definitely don't look, especially at that time when I wasn't playing as much on the PlayStation, right? And Path of Exile is on PlayStation as well. But the fact of the matter is, now that I've been playing more games on other platforms, it's plain to see that their games definitely don't add up. And Super Lucky Tale isn't even exclusive. Neither is Ashen. None of those games are exclusive games. So yeah, like it's easy to sit there and go back and look at something I might have said 3 years ago and go, oh, but you said this. Well, guess what, man? 3 years ago, 99% of my time was on Xbox. When you start playing other things, you start to realize how bad the things are that you were playing, right? So that's the kind of boat that I'm in. I understand what you're saying, but you have to understand people can change their taste the more they come around something else, right? Like, I think 2018 hit me hard because I went from God of War to Detroit to Spider-Man, and on Microsoft's side, they had nothing. So that's a real problem, you know what I mean? And that's when I went back and started playing more PlayStation 4 games and really got into VR. So that's really, that's where I'm coming from. I understand what you're saying, and you want to try to make me out to be a hypocrite, and we're all a hypocrite in some way, but to act like people can't change their mind or play something and decide something's better down the road, or that they don't like something as much as they once did. Look, when I was a kid, I used to love Maniac Mansion, right, on the NES. Now, I can't stand that game, right? Not everything is as good as you remember it, right? If I go back and play the original Halo on the original Xbox, I'm probably not going to like it very much, right? Because tastes change, times change. That's just simple. It's just how it is. I thought I would have hated God of War's New Direction, but I love it. I think it's probably the best soft reboot I've ever seen, right? Like, that's all it is, man. Do I plan on buying Death Stranding? I'm getting a free copy because I want to bet. But yeah, like Death Stranding. Speaking of Death Stranding, supposedly they're going to be doing. They're opening up the Metacritic a week before this game launches. When they usually do that, it means that they have tremendous faith in the game, and so I think that Death Stranding is going to do extremely well in terms of the score. I have it at a 90 as my personal prediction, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did a little bit more than that. It wouldn't surprise me. They should have stopped at Crackdown 1. Yeah. No, I like Devil May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 5 was really, really good. Death Stranding, it looks interesting. I'm looking forward to playing it to see what it's all about. Like, it's so strange to me, but I want to see exactly what they can do for it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to see. Exactly, confidence, Eddie. Exactly, that's my point. They have a lot of confidence in what they're doing. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out. You know what I mean? Original Battletoads art style looks better than the new remake. I agree. Mega Cloud says, I hope that guy doesn't go back on his bet. Yeah, he's supposedly going to pay me. I would assume that he would just totally leave Twitter if that were the case. Apparently he does pay his bets, but you know what I mean? Like, this guy is always like, I bet you this, I bet you that. He wants to come on my podcast, and I'm like, I would own this guy's house by the end of the podcast because he just wants to bet. And he bets with his heart and not his head. You know, that's unfortunate. Seth says, crap, I'm just saying, weren't you part of the current problem, praising mediocrity? Sure, I have my blames for that stuff as well. You know, listen, I spawned off, there's probably a ton of Xbox podcasts that talk just like I talked 4 years ago, and I probably didn't help. You know, I spawned off a bunch of that stuff, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, the only thing I can do is kind of lament on that and go, well, you know, I'm being as honest as I can right now, and Xbox has not been it for me lately. So, you know, hopefully they get their act together. I'm looking forward to the day when they actually do get their act together, because I feel like they still have a viable product, and I feel like they can still bring something good to the marketplace. It really just comes down to them being able to, you know, listen to the fans more. You know, you have to pay attention to the fans. You have to give fans what they want, and hopefully they can do that. Hopefully they can do that and get out there and just pay attention to what the fans' needs are. So hopefully they do that, and hopefully they can change for the better. Everybody can change. Death Stranding got that hype. Yeah, exactly. Death Stranding, I think, listen, now that Doom got pushed back to 2020, I feel like Death Stranding can definitely win Game of the Year, which would be really good for Sony, because that could give them possibly back-to-back Game of the Years, which is pretty incredible. You know what I mean? I'll answer a couple more questions, and then I got to get up out of here. Answer a few more questions. So go ahead, and if you guys got questions, please ask. I would appreciate it. It's going to be very, very, very fun day. You know. I just got a message from Mooch because I told him Mikey Ibarra quit Xbox. It was holy F. That was his response. The Last of Us Part 2 is definitely going to be the Game of the Year. One Typical says, I would listen to 9 and crap argue. I have no problem talking. Like, listen, people are like, why don't you just ban that guy or whatever? I'm not going to ban somebody because they have a difference of opinion. He's respectful. I'm respectful. It's all good. You know what I mean? Kevin Alonso says, wait, not even 50 million. That's actually surprisingly bad. Well, listen, considering a lot of people thought it was 30 million, I would say 46 million ain't bad. So, yeah. Sonic says, 9 Lives, most people play Gears 5 on base Xbox One or PC, not the X. Remember that. That's true as well. But apparently it runs pretty decent on the Xbox One S or whatever, so that's really cool as well. Am I happy the Browns lost? Of course I'm happy the Browns lost. The Browns suck. They're awful. God of War is 4K 30 or 1080 60 and a 90+ meta. It is a great game. I got to say, the best game I've ever played. I'm looking forward to, what am I playing lately, Greg? I'm not playing much of it. Oh, you know what I've been playing? This is going to sound stupid. I've been playing that ukulele side-scrolling game. That game is very much like, what are the Donkey Kong Country games. So much like those games. I don't know if you guys like the original ukulele. This one's a side-scrolling, and it looks amazing and plays amazing. If you get a chance to pick it up because it's a lot of fun. I'm having a blast with it. Very retro-y, very cool. You say Gears of War 4 or other Gears are bad. I don't think so. It's not bad. No, listen, I love the Gears games, but I think the quality has gone down a bit with the last two in terms of the story and the characters. Like, the characters I just don't really care about. So, If 46 million ain't bad, what number would be bad? Well, I'm not saying 46 million is great. It's a huge drop off. You know, obviously you're over 50 million behind Sony. It's a huge drop off of the 90 million Xbox 360s as well. So I think under 40 million would have been much worse. And now, like, we have some kind of confirmation that it's above 40 million. So at least you know that they were doing okay. I haven't had a chance to start Concrete Genie yet, but I will be starting that very soon. What's XGS Studio will be in the same quality level as Naughty Dog, and what upcoming Xbox Game Studios game will showcase the power of Scarlet the best? So I don't think there's any studio that Microsoft has that are in Naughty Dog's level. That's just being honest. But I do think the initiative might be able to show off what the next Xbox can do the best, because they're obviously working with that dev kit to try to make something specifically for it. And it's probably not going to come till 3 years into the generation, next gen. So that will definitely be taking full advantage of it. So I'm looking forward to that. Let me see. With next-gen consoles having ray tracing, does that mean more games at 30 frames per second isn't ray tracing taxing? Unless they can do something different. Listen, consoles are different than PCs. PCs got to run so much stuff in the background. So they're kind of like PCs, but I think they can use things a little bit differently, and things can be more programmed specifically for that target hardware. So I'm not sure what the deal is, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have the ability to turn that on and off. Otherwise, we're going to get stuck with some 30 frames per second games, in my opinion. So we'll have to see. Is my Ohai says, I'm curious, is your channel for Xbox, PlayStation, or both? I like gaming, so I try to do both. You know, I try to just do both. Digital Foundry said the Coalition are on par with Naughty Dog. I think they meant with, like, the technical stuff, but I would say that they're not on par with Naughty Dog in terms of overall talent, like with storytelling and just having a complete game. You know what I mean? Like, I think Gears 5, what it is, an 85 on Metacritic. I just feel like Naughty Dog would do a much better job in the future or whatever with what they do. Like, The Last of Us 2, something tells me that game's going to get like a 96, 97 meta. It broke all records for pre-orders. People really get hyped about their games. I don't think people get nearly as hyped about, like, Gears anymore. They literally made a review that had a word-for-word copy of an interview by developers. I don't know what you're talking about. I loved Gears 2. I loved Gears 3 as well. Hey, everybody, hit the like button, please. I really appreciate everybody coming out and supporting my channel. Like it, share it, subscribe if you haven't already done so. I do these every so often. I try to do them a little bit more. You know, hopefully you guys can come out and support the channel. You guys all have a great day. And again, man, we'll catch you guys later. Peace out. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer.